Imagine you've just started something new, perhaps a business venture, a fresh career, a passion project, or even a fitness journey. At first, everything is exhilarating. You're making progress, you're highly motivated, and it feels like success is right around the corner. But then, almost inevitably, something shifts. You run into a wall. The excitement you initially felt starts to fade, and suddenly, everything feels incredibly difficult, tiring, and filled with uncertainty. You're not progressing as quickly as you thought you would. The challenges keep piling up, and the results you're seeking just aren't coming fast enough. It's at this moment, a moment we've all experienced, that most people begin to question themselves. They wonder, should I keep going, or is it time to quit? This is exactly the critical moment that Seth Godin tackles brilliantly in his insightful book, The Dip. It's a simple yet profound idea, one that has the power to forever alter your perspective on success, failure, and decision-making. Hey everyone, I'm Bix, and welcome back to Bix Book Summary, where we explore life-changing books in a way that's practical, relatable, and easy to apply to your everyday life. Today, we're diving into The Dip by Seth Godin, a book that will help you understand exactly when to push forward through tough times, and when quitting could actually be the smartest, most strategic decision you can make. Most of us grew up with the idea that quitting is inherently bad, that persistence at all costs is the key to success. However, Godin boldly challenges this conventional wisdom. According to him, not all quitting is equal. In fact, he argues that quitting at the right time, quitting the wrong things strategically, can actually clear the path to becoming truly exceptional in the areas that matter most. Throughout this book, you'll discover powerful insights, such as why most people give up right before achieving greatness, how to clearly identify whether you're facing a temporary setback, what Seth calls the dip, or a permanent dead end, a cul-de-sac, and why dedicating yourself to becoming the best in your field is absolutely worth your effort. He also shows you exactly when you should persevere through difficulty and when the most intelligent choice is to let go. Because here's the reality that Seth Godin presents. True winners don't blindly persist in everything. They quickly and confidently quit the wrong things to make space for what truly matters. It's a refreshing perspective that turns our usual way of thinking on its head. To better understand this crucial lesson, first, we need to dive deeper into the core concept of the book, the phenomenon Godin identifies as the dip. The dip isn't just another metaphor. It's something you've experienced firsthand. It's that fifth job interview where you never even received a call back. It's your garage band playing passionately to an empty room in a club no one has heard of. It's falling off your snowboard repeatedly, feeling bruised and disheartened. It's that exact point in the marathon when the excitement of starting the race feels like a distant memory, and the finish line is still too far to envision clearly. In essence, the dip is that tough phase, the challenging middle ground you must cross to reach meaningful success, assuming you're pursuing the right goal. But here's the good news. Navigating through this dip is exactly what separates the extraordinary from the average. It's the key not just to your career, but potentially to your ultimate happiness as well. Think about this. Every new project, job, or hobby starts out thrilling and engaging. But inevitably, it gets harder and less enjoyable. Then at some point, you'll find yourself in the deepest part of this dip. Where things are at their hardest, the fun has disappeared, and you're wondering whether the reward is really worth the struggle. Yet, according to Seth Godin, this dip can actually be your greatest opportunity if you're on the right path. Why? Because this is precisely the moment when most of your competition quits. This is where most people stop short, allowing the truly dedicated, the people who lean into the dip, to rise to the top. But what if you're in the wrong place? What if you're actually stuck in a cul-de-sac? One of those dead-end situations that never improves no matter how hard you try. Recognizing this difference is critical because continuing in a cul-de-sac means wasting your valuable resources, your time, energy, and talent on something that won't get better. Winners, Seth says, actively seek out and embrace the dip, recognizing it as an essential barrier that ultimately leads to substantial rewards. They understand that the bigger the obstacle, the greater the potential reward once they overcome it. They quit early and without regret in those areas that won't lead to greatness, freeing up resources to invest in areas where they can truly become number one. On the other hand, those who lose out either give up when things get challenging, failing to stick with the right dip, or worse yet, they never even identify the right dip in the first place. Throughout this journey today, we'll unpack powerful lessons from the dip that can dramatically improve your chances of success in any aspect of life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, an artist, or someone aiming to climb the corporate ladder, you'll learn how to strategically quit dead ends to channel your best energy toward your ultimate goals. Ultimately, Seth Godin doesn't claim to have all the answers, but what he does exceptionally well is to teach you how to ask the right questions. And these questions can make the difference between achieving lasting success or remaining trapped in mediocrity. So, let's journey deeper into the power of the dip. Learn how to tell the difference between strategic perseverance and strategic quitting, and understand exactly why being the best in the world, however you define world, is a goal worth pursuing. Because once you master this art, you'll finally unlock the power to turn difficult challenges into opportunities, leading to greater success and lasting fulfillment. Let's jump right in. Think back to anything meaningful you've ever tried. A new hobby, a career path, building a relationship, or starting your dream business. When you first begin, everything feels exciting and fresh. Progress seems easy, learning comes quickly, and you feel motivated by immediate results. It almost seems like nothing could stop you. But inevitably, reality sets in, and you reach what Seth Godin calls the dip. The dip is that tough, often frustrating stage that follows initial enthusiasm. It's the moment when your progress slows down dramatically, things become unexpectedly challenging, and results feel like they're slipping further away. Suddenly, you're questioning everything, wondering whether this is all worth it or if you should just call it quits. But here's the powerful insight Seth Godin offers us. The dip isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's actually a test. It's the universe's way of seeing how committed you truly are. It's how the world separates those who are merely interested from those who are genuinely dedicated, passionate, and willing to push through hardship to reach true greatness. The secret, the real magic behind understanding the dip, is this. If you manage to persevere through this difficult stage, if you stick with it when others give up, you'll emerge stronger, more skilled, and more successful than 99% of people who quit at the first sign of resistance. In other words, the dip is your greatest opportunity because it filters out most of your competition, rewarding you immensely if you push through it. But there's a catch. Not every struggle is a dip worth enduring. Some difficulties are simply not worth the fight. They're dead ends, paths that no matter how much effort you pour into them, will never truly pay off. While the dip offers significant rewards for your perseverance, a dead end only drains your time, energy, and resources. Most people get trapped precisely because they can't tell the difference between a temporary dip and a permanent dead end. They give up too quickly when faced with a dip, missing out on potential greatness. Or worse, they keep pushing blindly against a dead end, wasting precious time and resources on something that will never lead to meaningful success. So how do you figure out the difference between a dip and a dead end? How can you confidently recognize whether the obstacle in front of you is worth conquering or is merely draining your energy with no reward in sight? That's exactly what we're going to explore next, so that you'll never again wonder if you're fighting the right battles. Let's dive deeper and discover how to strategically decide when to persist and when to let go, so you can finally reach the success you truly deserve. Every meaningful journey has obstacles. Every worthwhile goal comes with its own moments of doubt, setbacks, and struggle. But here's the critical thing that Seth Godin highlights. Not all struggles are the same. Some difficulties are temporary. They're a necessary test that leads to mastery and real success if you push through. Others, however, are signals that you're on a path that goes nowhere. No matter how hard you work, success won't come. Godin calls these two types of struggle the dip and the dead end. The dip is a temporary but challenging phase, where progress slows dramatically, frustration mounts, and most people give up. It's the point when you're no longer getting quick rewards and motivation feels low. But if you stay committed, adapt your approach, keep learning, and keep pushing forward, you'll eventually break through to higher levels of success, skill, and recognition. The dead end, however, is fundamentally different. It's not just a tough phase. It's a situation where no amount of additional effort or resources will lead to meaningful progress. It might be a business idea that can't ever become profitable, a job with no opportunities for advancement, or perhaps a toxic relationship that drains you but never improves. To make this crystal clear, imagine two runners training for their first marathon. The first runner hits a dip, a point during training when every run feels painful, progress feels stalled, and motivation has all but disappeared. Yet, if they stick with it, their body eventually adapts, endurance improves, and suddenly they're running farther and faster than they ever thought possible. The second runner, however, is struggling with a severe injury. No matter how determined they are or how hard they push themselves, continuing to train only worsens their condition. This is a clear dead end. Pushing forward won't lead to success, but instead causes lasting harm. The truth is, most people don't fail because they quit. They fail because they quit the wrong things at the wrong times. Far too often, people give up when faced with a temporary dip, missing out on the opportunity for true greatness. Or even worse, they stubbornly hold on to dead ends, pouring valuable time, effort, and resources into something destined to fail. So how do you know the difference? How can you tell if you're facing a dip that will ultimately lead to success, or if you're trapped in a dead end with no reward in sight? Seth Godin gives us 3 powerful questions that will help you decide clearly. First, ask yourself, is there genuinely a meaningful reward on the other side of this struggle? If I keep going and keep improving, will this eventually lead me to significant success? If your answer is yes, then you're in a dip. Keep pushing because the payoff at the end is worth it. Second, consider, am I making measurable progress, even if it's small and slow? If you're steadily getting better, even slightly, then your struggle is temporary. You're facing a dip, not a dead end. But if all your efforts are consistently leading nowhere, no improvement, no growth, then you may be facing a dead end. Finally, reflect honestly. Do I still genuinely care about this goal? Am I still passionate, or am I just continuing out of fear, obligation, or habit? If your passion is strong, you're likely in a dip and should continue. If you've lost passion and find yourself hanging on simply because you're afraid to admit defeat, it's likely time to move on from a dead end. Here's the harsh reality Godin emphasizes. The biggest mistake people make is quitting at the first sign of difficulty, not realizing that the dip is simply the critical test separating the average from the extraordinary. The second biggest mistake is holding on to a dead end, wasting your precious time and energy on something that will never lead to fulfillment or success. Once you learn to master the skill of distinguishing a temporary dip from a permanent dead end, you become infinitely more effective in how you invest your time, energy, and focus. You become strategic about quitting, and strategic quitting, as Seth Godin says, is the secret of truly successful people. And this brings us to another powerful lesson from the dip: the incredible value of becoming the best at something, why it's worth every struggle, and how most people quit just before they achieve true greatness. Let's dive deeper into this next. Most people grow up believing that success comes from being good at something. But Seth Godin challenges this widely held idea with a bold statement. Simply being good isn't enough. If you want real success, you need to strive to be the best. Why is this so important? Because the world doesn't reward the average. It rewards those who stand out at the very top. Think about it from your own experience. When you're choosing a doctor, a restaurant, or even buying something online, do you settle for an option that's just okay, or do you look for the very best? Whether it's choosing the top-rated surgeon, the #1 bestseller, or the market-leading brand, we naturally gravitate toward those at the top. And as a result, the rewards are massively skewed in favor of the very best. Seth Godin calls this phenomenon the winner-take-all effect. In virtually every field, the top performer captures most of the attention, rewards, and success, leaving everyone else to fight over whatever is left. Consider something simple. Search engines like Google. When you search for something online, do you ever click through pages of results? Or do you pick one of the first few links on page 1? Most of us don't go past the first few options, meaning those top results receive nearly all the attention, traffic, and benefits, while everyone else gets practically nothing. This same principle applies everywhere. The best companies attract the most talented employees, the top athletes land the biggest sponsorships, the most successful authors sell millions of copies, while thousands of others fade into obscurity. Here's where the dip becomes so critical. The reason only a few people become truly successful is because most people quit too soon. They start something new, hit the inevitable challenging stage, the dip, and give up just before they would have broken through to extraordinary results. But here's the most surprising insight. Those who succeed aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. The difference is simply that they persist when others quit. They see the dip for what it really is, not a barrier, but a test designed to filter out those who are less committed. Yet pushing through the dip doesn't mean blindly working harder and harder. It means working smarter. It's about understanding exactly where to direct your energy and attention so your efforts truly pay off. It's about being strategic and recognizing that not all effort leads to greatness. Some paths lead nowhere and are simply a waste of valuable resources. This brings us to a critical decision you need to make. How do you choose the right battles? How do you know exactly when to push forward and when it's smarter to quit? That's precisely what we'll explore next, so you can confidently invest your energy into the right areas, navigate the dip strategically, and achieve the meaningful success you've always wanted. Every struggle you face doesn't necessarily deserve your perseverance. Not every difficult situation leads to greatness, and this is precisely where most people go wrong. They either stubbornly push through the wrong challenges or prematurely quit the ones that truly matter. Seth Godin points out that knowing how and when to strategically quit is one of the most crucial and undervalued skills you can develop. The difference between people who achieve extraordinary success and those who remain stuck isn't merely persistence. It's knowing exactly when to persist and when it's wiser to move on. So how can you tell the difference? How do you decide when it's the right time to push forward and when it makes more sense to quit strategically? First, ask yourself honestly, is this path leading to something truly remarkable? If persisting through the dip can lead you to become genuinely exceptional, to become one of the very best, then the struggle is worth enduring. But if at your best you'll only end up being average, it might not be worth your precious time and effort. Consider a career in an industry that's gradually becoming obsolete. No matter how hard you work or how much effort you put in, the opportunities in that field keep shrinking. This situation is what Seth calls a dead end. Persistence won't solve the fundamental issue of the declining relevance of that industry. In such cases, quitting isn't a failure. It's a wise decision that frees you to invest your energy in something with genuine potential and growth. On the other hand, if you're building a business in an emerging market, mastering a valuable skill, or growing in a field where being the best brings disproportionate rewards, then persisting through the dip is absolutely worth the effort. Second, ask yourself, am I truly willing to pay the price required? Every dip demands a cost, whether it's time, energy, money, emotional commitment, or patience. If you're serious about pushing through, you must ask yourself, honestly, am I genuinely willing to pay that price? Many people pursue goals because they sound exciting or impressive, but when faced with the real struggle required, they hesitate. They want the reward, but aren't prepared for the hardships that come along the way. For instance, countless people say they dream of becoming entrepreneurs, but aren't ready for the uncertainty, the long hours, or the financial risks that come with running their own business. Others claim they want to become elite athletes or renowned musicians, yet they shy away from investing thousands of hours in focused, deliberate practice. If you discover that you're unwilling to pay the true cost of overcoming the dip, quitting isn't just okay, it's the smartest decision you can make. Because if you don't truly love the process itself, you'll never last through the toughest moments of struggle. But if you're genuinely passionate about your goal, if the rewards ahead excite you enough to endure any hardship, then quitting isn't an option. You must push forward. Third, And perhaps most importantly, ask yourself, am I quitting because this is genuinely pointless? Or just because it's hard? There's a profound difference between giving up because something will truly lead nowhere and quitting because you're experiencing temporary frustration or pain. Most people make the mistake of quitting far too soon, simply because they hit a tough phase and think it means they're on the wrong path. But the truth is, every worthwhile pursuit has a dip. Every path to genuine greatness requires moments of struggle and doubt. Successful people aren't those who never struggle. They're the ones who push through the difficult moments because they clearly see what's waiting on the other side. They understand the difference between temporary pain and permanent futility. This is exactly why learning to quit strategically and persist wisely is the key to long-term success. And when you master this balance, knowing exactly when to walk away and when to push even harder, you gain an extraordinary advantage. The ability to channel your energy, focus, and resources toward things that truly matter. Because here's the real secret behind Seth Godin's message. Quitting the wrong things at the right time frees you. It frees your time, energy, and attention so you can fully commit yourself to pursuits that genuinely have the potential to make you great. And this is where most people fail. They spend their lives pouring their effort into dead ends, leaving no energy left for the areas where true greatness is possible. So how do you make sure your effort actually leads to meaningful, remarkable success? How can you position yourself strategically to maximize your chances of becoming the best in your chosen field? That's exactly what we'll dive into next. Most people assume that success is about doing more, taking on more projects, developing more skills, chasing after more opportunities. They believe if they try enough things, eventually something will click. But Seth Godin makes a bold, counterintuitive argument. True winners don't succeed by doing more. Instead, they succeed by doing less, but doing it far better than anyone else. This insight reveals a critical mistake most people make. They spread themselves thin, constantly jumping from one idea to another, always chasing the next opportunity. They try multiple businesses, careers, or hobbies, but they never fully commit to any of them. As soon as things become difficult, as soon as they hit the dip, they quit and move on to the next shiny object. The result? They remain stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, never breaking through to true greatness in any area. The people who truly succeed aren't necessarily more talented, smarter, or luckier. What sets them apart is their relentless focus. They pick one path, something truly worthwhile, and pour all their energy into it, refusing to quit when it gets tough. Think about the greatest athletes, musicians, artists, or entrepreneurs you admire. They didn't become extraordinary by doing dozens of things at once. They chose one thing and committed to mastering it, pushing through the dip when others gave up. Michael Jordan didn't attempt to become a professional football player, musician, and actor all at once. He chose basketball, dedicated himself fully, and became the greatest player in the sport's history. Elon Musk, despite his wide-ranging accomplishments, never built multiple companies simultaneously from scratch. Instead, he focused intensely on one major challenge at a time. First building PayPal, then Tesla, then SpaceX, mastering each before moving on to the next. The lesson is clear. If your goal is to become exceptional, the key is not to add more things to your plate. It's to focus deeply on the one thing with the greatest potential. Godin emphasizes that success comes from identifying the right dip, one worth the struggle, effort, and sacrifice, and then quitting everything else. He challenges us to ask ourselves powerful questions. What is the one thing I am genuinely willing to struggle for? Where can my energy and time be most effectively spent? If I had to pick only one pursuit, which one would offer the greatest reward in the long run? Because one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to waste your precious time fighting through dips that will never lead to genuine success. Quitting itself isn't your enemy. The real enemy is failing to quit the wrong things at the right times. Strategic quitting allows you to focus fully on what genuinely matters. When you adopt this mindset, when you eliminate distractions and fully commit to the right battle, you'll begin to realize your true potential. You'll stop wasting your energy on pursuits that drain you and instead channel your efforts toward the one goal that truly has the power to make you extraordinary. But even with laser-sharp focus, even with fierce persistence, there's still one final obstacle most people face: patience. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or ability. They fail simply because they lack the patience required to endure the dip long enough to achieve real mastery. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Imagine you're climbing a massive mountain. You've been hiking for hours, battling exhaustion, feeling your legs ache, and questioning your decision with every difficult step. The closer you get to the top, the tougher it feels. Doubts creep in. You wonder whether the view at the summit is really worth all the struggle. And here's the heartbreaking truth. Right at the moment when the peak finally comes into view, when success is literally just a few more steps away, most people turn back. They tell themselves, "It's too hard. Maybe this wasn't meant for me." They give up, never realizing how close they truly were to achieving greatness. Seth Godin calls this critical moment the final test. The dip is uncomfortable and exhausting, designed to make you question your commitment. And that's precisely why most people fail. Not because they aren't capable or talented, but simply because they quit just moments before they would have broken through. Think about businesses. How many startups close down right before finding the product or customer breakthrough that would have saved them? How many aspiring authors abandon their dreams after a handful of rejections, only to watch later as someone else turns a similar story into a best-selling novel? History is filled with examples of people who almost quit, but didn't, and went on to achieve incredible success. J.K. Rowling faced rejection from 12 different publishers before Harry Potter finally found a home. If she'd quit at rejection number 10, the world would never have experienced the magic she created. Howard Schultz, the visionary behind Starbucks, was turned down by 242 investors who couldn't see the potential of his idea. Had he stopped at 241 rejections, Starbucks would have remained just another unknown coffee shop. Your dip will challenge you in exactly the same way. You'll feel discouraged, frustrated, and full of self-doubt. You'll wonder if you have what it takes. You'll ask yourself if the struggle is truly worth it. But understand this, the dip isn't random. It has a very specific purpose. It acts as a filter, separating those who are truly committed from those who merely like the idea of success. It ensures that only those who persist through the hardest moments, the moments when almost everyone else quits, get the greatest rewards. According to Seth Godin, 99% of people give up too soon. They quit just before things start turning around, just before they break through. This is why the 1% who refuse to quit, who keep pushing when it feels impossible, are the ones who become extraordinary. If you're facing your own dip right now, if you're struggling and tempted to quit, ask yourself these powerful questions. Am I thinking about quitting because this is truly a dead end, or just because it's difficult right now? If I push forward, could this lead to something exceptional? Am I genuinely out of options, or have I simply run out of patience? Because if there's a meaningful reward waiting for you on the other side of this struggle, you owe it to yourself not to quit too soon. Every time you feel the urge to give up, remind yourself, you might be just one step away from everything you've been working for. And this brings us to the final and perhaps most important lesson from the dip. How to quit strategically. How to let go of what doesn't matter so you can channel your energy into the things that truly do. That's exactly what we'll explore next. Most people believe quitting is a sign of weakness. They see giving up as failure, convinced that if they just try harder or work longer, success is guaranteed. But Seth Godin turns this assumption upside down. He argues that quitting, when done strategically, is actually one of the most powerful things you can do. Quitting becomes a mistake only when you do it impulsively, driven by fear, frustration, or impatience. But when you quit deliberately, with clarity, intention, and purpose, you free yourself to focus all your energy and resources on what truly matters. Take a moment right now and honestly reflect on your own life. How many things are you holding on to? Not because they're genuinely important, but simply because you're afraid to let go. Maybe it's a comfortable yet unfulfilling job that doesn't lead anywhere meaningful. Maybe it's a project or business idea that once excited you, but now drains your energy. Maybe it's a goal you set years ago, one that no longer aligns with who you've become or what you truly want. Clinging to these things doesn't make you stronger. It keeps you stuck in mediocrity, preventing you from excelling in areas where you could truly become exceptional. Seth Godin introduces a simple yet powerful rule to guide you. If you realize you won't be the best at something, quit it fast and move on. This doesn't mean you should abandon every difficult pursuit. Instead, it means you need to become radically honest with yourself. Ask yourself these questions. Is this something genuinely worth struggling for? If I push through this dip, can I realistically achieve extraordinary success, or will it only lead to average results? Am I staying committed because I truly care about it, or simply because I'm afraid to quit? If the situation you're in is a dead end, if your efforts won't lead to meaningful, fulfilling results, the smartest choice you can make is to quit as soon as possible. Because every moment, every bit of effort you invest into something with no potential payoff is time you could spend pursuing the right goals, ones that can actually bring you closer to real success. Seth Godin calls this quitting with power. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's having the courage to make the tough, intentional decision to walk away from things that no longer serve you, allowing yourself the freedom and energy to fully commit to what truly matters. The most successful people aren't those who never quit. They're the ones who strategically quit the wrong things early, freeing themselves to double down and commit deeply to the right things. So here's a challenge. What's one thing you're holding on to right now that you know deep down you should let go of? What's draining your energy, distracting you from your true purpose, or preventing you from achieving greatness? Let it go. Quit with confidence. Free yourself. Because when you quit strategically, you're not admitting defeat. You're making a conscious decision to win where it actually counts. And that brings us to the final transformative lesson from the dip. Learning to embrace the dip, not as an obstacle, but as a powerful tool designed to propel you toward greatness. That's exactly what we'll explore next. Imagine challenges in your life not as barriers blocking your path, but as powerful tools helping you shape your path to greatness. This is the heart of Seth Godin's ultimate message in the dip. Your struggles aren't obstacles, they're your greatest advantage. The truth is, if success came easily, everyone would have it, and it would no longer be valuable. The struggle, the frustration, the slow periods of progress, these are exactly what makes success rare, special, and worth achieving. Godin emphasizes something profound. The dip isn't your enemy. Instead, it's a valuable opportunity. It's the filter that separates average performers from the extraordinary. It's the proving ground where skills are sharpened, strength is built, and true mastery is achieved. The dip is exactly where most people quit, and precisely where successful people double down. Think about any field: music, business, sports, writing. Why do the top 1% receive most of the rewards, recognition, and success? Because they persist when others stop. They endure through challenges that others aren't willing to face. But let's be clear, they don't keep going blindly. The top performers pick their battles carefully. They strategically quit the distractions, dead ends, and pointless pursuits. Then they pour everything they have into the one meaningful area where they can truly become the best. The dip isn't just a painful experience, it's a test. It asks you clearly and directly, how badly do you really want this? Are you genuinely willing to do what others won't? Will you continue pushing even when every instinct tells you to quit? If your answer to these questions is a resounding yes, then you're ready. The dip is your moment, your chance to show what you're truly made of. Instead of fearing struggle, you should embrace it. Instead of trying to avoid discomfort, you should welcome it as confirmation that you're doing something worth doing. Let difficulty become your signpost, the proof that you're on exactly the right path. Because here's the beautiful truth. On the other side of the dip is the life you truly desire. The career you're passionate about, the business you dream of building, the skill you've spent hours practicing, the mastery that sets you apart from everyone else, that's waiting for you beyond the dip. The dip is the price of greatness. And the reality is, most people simply aren't willing to pay it. But you right now have learned the secret. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, or even the most naturally talented. You simply have to be the one who keeps going, the one who perseveres strategically when others quit. So when you encounter the dip, don't slow down. Don't stop. Push through, because the dip isn't something to avoid. It's something to use. It's your chance to grow, to rise above, and ultimately, to win. If you take away just one powerful lesson from Seth Godin's book, let it be this. Success isn't about never quitting. It's about strategically quitting the wrong things, the distractions, the meaningless tasks, the dead ends, and persisting courageously in the right things, the things that truly matter to you. Most people quit when things get tough. They surrender when it feels uncomfortable, convincing themselves it wasn't meant to be. But those who truly succeed, those rare individuals at the top, are simply the ones who refuse to stop at the exact point when most others turn back. But remember, pushing through the dip is not about blind persistence. It's about wisely choosing exactly which dip to push through. So right now, ask yourself honestly, what is the one thing in my life that's worth any amount of struggle? What should I quit today, right now, that's holding me back from greatness? Where should I fully dedicate my energy, time, and focus to become truly exceptional? Because here's the incredible truth. The difference between greatness and mediocrity isn't talent or luck or even how hard you work. It's knowing exactly when to quit and when to keep going. It's about mastering the skill of strategic quitting and wise persistence. So choose carefully. Let go of what's not serving you. Focus completely. And embrace the dip. Because the dip is exactly where success, greatness, and mastery are built. Thank you for joining me on this powerful journey through the dip by Seth Godin. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to Bix Book Summary. And if you'd like to dive even deeper into Seth Godin's brilliant insights, check out the link in the description below to get your own copy of The Dip. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, remember this. When things get difficult, when you find yourself deep in the dip, keep going, keep growing, and remember, you're closer to greatness than you think.